Hello, my dear. Hello, my dear. Sit here with me. Let's talk for a while. You know, life sometimes feels like an old house full of memories, doesn't it? Each room holds a laugh, a tear, and sometimes a silence. A silence so heavy it feels like we'll never hear music again. Today's story is about such a silence. It's about Tiago, his mother, Anna, and a guitar. But not just any guitar. It was Samuel's guitar, Tiago's father. A man who, in life, seemed to translate the sun itself into chords. Samuel was gone. He had left suddenly, like a note that ends before its time, leaving behind the smell of varnish and sawdust from his small furniture workshop, and a silence that hurt the ears. And along with the silence came the debts. Letters that Tiago didn't have the courage to show his mother, numbers that accumulated like storm clouds on the horizon. The workshop, the family's livelihood, hung by a thread, and the house, that house where Tiago was born, where each mark on the doorframe was a measure of his growth, was about to be seized. The bank didn't want memories. The bank wanted numbers. And the numbers said the deadline was approaching. Anna, a woman of unwavering faith, now spent her nights awake, her lips moving in silent prayers that sounded more like a sigh. Tiago, trying to be the man of the house, felt his shoulders heavy, not with the weight of the wood his father worked with, but with the weight of the impossible. In the corner of the room, covered by a sheet that had once been white, lay Samuel's guitar. Tiago hadn't played it since the funeral. It seemed like sacrilege. The instrument that had been the voice of joy in the house was now a silent monument to absence. There was, however, one last mystery. In Samuel's small office, behind a crooked family portrait, was a small metal safe, gray and cold. Samuel, laughing, always said, "Here is your future, kept under lock and key." But he never said what the keys were. Tiago and Anna had tried everything. Birthday dates, their wedding day, the year the workshop opened, nothing. The safe remained stubbornly locked, guarding a future they desperately needed. Now, the bank's last notice arrived on a rainy morning. That wet paper in Tiago's hand seemed like a sentence. They had 30 days. What do you do when faith encounters a locked steel door? What do you do when God's silence seems as loud as the ticking of the clock that consumes your last days of hope? The following days, my son, dragged on like fine sand slipping through my fingers. 30 days. It seems like a long time when you're happy, but it's a blink of an eye when despair knocks at your door. Tiago woke up before sunrise, his stomach churning. He tried. Oh, how he tried. He looked for work, knocked on the doors of his father's former clients, offered to do small repairs. But the world seemed to have shrunk. People smiled with pity, but no one had work. Anna, for her part, began the painful process of letting go. She opened the cupboards and separated what could be sold. First, the wedding china. Then the small paintings. Each object taken was like a piece of their history going away. The house, once filled with the smells of cornbread and Samuel's strong coffee, now smelled of dust and emptiness. Anna's faith, once a mighty river, now seemed like a dry stream. She still prayed, yes, but her prayers had changed. Where there had been praise, now there was supplication. Where there had been certainty, now there was a "Sir, are you still there?" Tiago watched his mother wasting away and felt his own faith ebbing away. At night, he sat in the dark room staring at the shape of the covered guitar. That guitar was a mockery. His father talked so much about music, about joy. But what had music done for them? It left a locked safe and a mountain of debt. Several times, Tiago went to the office. He spun the safe's dial, tried random combinations, banged on the metal with his closed fist in a mixture of anger and pleading. The steel remained cold, indifferent. With each failed attempt, Samuel's silence seemed deeper, more definitive. There was 1 week left until the deadline. The pile of boxes in the corner of the room grew. They were moving boxes, but they had nowhere to go. Despair, you see, is not a scream. It's an icy silence. It's the bitter acceptance of the end. Anna, on a gray afternoon, sat beside Tiago and simply held his hand. There was nothing more to say. The prayers had ceased. All that remained was the wait for the final blow. How do you pray when the last word spoken was goodbye? How do you find hope in an instrument that has fallen silent? 3 days remained. Tiago decided that if they were going to lose the house, he would at least save the most precious memories. He began emptying his father's workshop, the place that had been his childhood sanctuary. The smell of cedar and glue still lingered in the air, so real that Tiago could almost hear Samuel's sander working. He was packing away old tools when, at the bottom of a jammed drawer, his fingers touched something that wasn't metal. It was paper, thick paper yellowed at the edges. It was an old music notebook of Samuel's. James opened it. It was full of his father's hurried handwriting, notes, chords, lyrics to songs that were never finished. He smiled, a warm tear running down his face. He flipped through the pages, feeling the texture of the paper, and then he stopped. On the last page, there was a short score. It wasn't a complete song, just a simple, almost childlike melody. Below it, in Samuel's favorite blue pen, was written, "For Anna, the note that calms the heart." James frowned. He remembered that melody. His father played it on the guitar every time Anna was worried or sad. It was a simple sequence of chords that always ended on a specific note, a long, soft note that seemed to linger in the air. James didn't understand. The note that calms the heart. Beautiful, poetic, like his father was, but useless. It wouldn't pay the bills. He was about to close the notebook, to put it away in the box of useless memories, when something else caught his attention. In the lower corner of the page, almost erased, there was a scribble. A number? No. It was a letter. Just one. The letter G. And next to it, a small drawing of a sound wave. James shook his head. What a silly mystery. What did it mean? His father and his enigmas. He closed the notebook. But the image of that note, that solitary letter, remained etched in his mind. Was it a sign? But a sign of what? The safe demanded numbers. It didn't demand music. It was just a painful memory of a time when music still had the power to soothe. Or could it be something more? The doubt, for the first time in weeks, wasn't one of despair, but of an almost painful curiosity. That night, Tiago didn't sleep. The image of the sheet music, that solitary note, the G, and the phrase, "the note that calms the heart," it wouldn't leave his head. He got up in the middle of the cold night. The silence of the house was absolute. He went to the office. He looked at the safe. Cold, gray, impenetrable. He thought about the numbers he had tried. So many. Dates. Birthdays. None worked. He looked at the safe's panel. It was an old digital model, but robust. It had the numbers 0 to 9 and an enter button. But next to the numeric keypad, there was something he had always ignored. A small hole, the size of a headphone jack. He always thought it was for an emergency key they never found, or perhaps a factory reset point. G, the note that calms. A sound wave. Suddenly, an absurd idea, so crazy it made his heart race, took hold of him. What if the password wasn't a number? Samuel was a musician, a luthier. He didn't think in terms of numbers. He thought in terms of sounds, frequencies. What if the safe wouldn't open with what was typed, but with what he heard? Tiago ran to the workshop. He rummaged through his father's toolboxes, his hands trembling so much he could barely hold the objects. He found it. An old electronic tuner, the kind musicians use. And, in a box of dusty cables, he found a small contact microphone, used to capture the sound directly from the wood of an instrument. He returned to the office. He looked at the small hole in the safe. The tip of the contact microphone cable seemed compatible. It can't be, he whispered. But what about the guitar? The guitar was silent. The strings were old, rusty. One of them, the G string, precisely the G, was broken, hanging sadly from the instrument's neck. The hope that had barely been born withered instantly. The signal was there, the connection seemed real, but the tool was broken. It was a cruel joke. God had shown him the key and at the same instant shown him that the door was jammed forever. Tiago sat on the cold floor of the office, his music notebook in one hand, the useless microphone in the other. The silence of the house seemed to mock him. 2 days to go. The morning sun found Tiago in the same spot, on the office floor. But something had changed in his gaze. It was no longer the look of despair, but one of feverish determination. He remembered. He remembered a conversation years ago, his father teaching him how to change a string. "A guitar is never silent, Tiago," Samuel had said with that tranquil smile. "It's just resting. The music is always inside the wood, waiting." Tiago jumped up. He ran to the workshop, to the last box he hadn't yet closed. His father's miscellaneous box. And there it was, a small brown paper envelope. Inside, a new set of nylon strings, untouched. Tiago picked up the guitar from the corner of the room. Carefully, he removed the dusty sheet. The wood was cold. He brought the instrument into the light. His hands, which had trembled with despair, now worked with the precision his father had taught him. He wiped away the dust. He removed the old strings. And, with an almost sacred reverence, he put on the new string. The G string. The G. He took the guitar to the office. Anna watched him from the doorway, her eyes full of confusion and fear. What was he doing? Playing with music when their world was collapsing? Tiago said nothing. He picked up the electronic tuner. Carefully, he began to turn the tuning peg. The sound of the new string being stretched was sharp, tense. He tuned it. Perfectly. Then he took the contact microphone and attached it to the guitar's soundboard. He connected the other end of the cable to that mysterious little hole in the safe. His heart was pounding so hard it felt like it would break his ribs. He looked at his mother. Anna put her hands to her mouth. Tiago took a deep breath. He looked at the sheet music spread out on the floor. The note that calms the heart. With his thumb, he played the G string. The note G. It wasn't a loud sound. It was a pure, clear, velvety sound. The note vibrated, filling the small office. The sound seemed to linger in the air, exactly as he remembered it from his childhood. For a second, nothing happened. Silence returned, heavier than ever. And then, from that cold, gray safe, came a sound. Abipsoft. And then the most beautiful sound Tiago had ever heard in his entire life. A click, metallic, dry, definitive. The small green light next to the keyboard lit up. The safe door moved slightly. Tiago, his hand trembling, turned the handle. The heavy door opened. Anna let out a sob. Inside, there were no piles of money. There were documents. There was the house deed stamped paid off. There were insurance policies they didn't recognize. And there was a letter, in Samuel's handwriting. Tiago read it aloud, his voice choked with emotion. "My dear Anna and Tiago, if you are reading this, it's because things have become difficult, and I'm not here to soothe your hearts. But I told you that music would take care of you. This house is yours. The workshop has insurance that will cover everything. Your future is here. Just don't let the guitar stay silent for too long. The last note is always the most important. It's the note of the promise." Tiago looked at the guitar in his lap. It wasn't silent. It was just waiting for the right moment to fulfill its last promise. My dear, do you realize the beauty of this?" The guitar wasn't mute. It was silent, yes. But there's a profound difference between the silence of abandonment and the silence of waiting. Samuel, in his wisdom, didn't leave a numerical password. He left a password of love. He left a memory. The miracle wasn't in the money or the papers inside the safe. The miracle was in the rediscovery. James needed to stop looking at the steel door of the problem and turn his eyes to the legacy of love his father had left. He needed to restore the instrument. He needed to have faith to play the note, even when it seemed like madness. How many times, my son, do we look at the locked safes in our lives? That health problem that won't be resolved, that job opportunity that won't open, that family relationship that seems broken forever. and we try all the logical combinations. We knock, we force, we cry before the cold metal, and God seems silent. But perhaps the password God left us isn't a number. Perhaps the password is hidden in what He has already given us. Perhaps it's in a memory, in a word of wisdom we once heard, in an old promise we kept in a drawer that now seems covered in dust. Perhaps, like James, we need to stop struggling with the safe and start fixing our guitar. Perhaps we need to restore our faith, replace the old strings of bitterness and doubt with new strings of hope. Samuel's last note was a promise. God's last note for us is always a promise. He doesn't leave us passwords we can't find, but He often hides them in places only the heart can find. He hides them in music, in faith, in the legacy of love. Your blessing may be kept safe, just waiting for the sound of your renewed faith. And you? What is the guitar that has gone silent in your life and that you need to fix today? What is the last note, the promise, that you need to play so that the safe of your blessing finally opens? Think about it. And while you think about it, if this story touched your heart, if it brought a little warmth to your soul, leave a comment below. Share with me, what unexpected password has God used to open a door in your life? Your story could be the note of hope someone needs to hear today. Leave a like so this message reaches more hearts, and of course, subscribe to the channel. That way, you and I can continue sharing these conversations, these stories of faith. May the peace of God, which sounds sweeter than any guitar, be with you. Until our next story.